Hello everyone, I'm the manager of Farm Fresh Malaysia Freshers Milk Boss. Today we are dreaming big. What if we take our happy cows, our certified human milk and plant our flag in Paraguay? But is it genius or total madness? Let's find out.
The giant of the global food industry lies in the core of South America and maintains a population of 7 million individuals. This hidden giant refers to the fact that despite Paraguay being a relatively small nation with an interior location, meaning it lacks access to the sea. It represents one of the most significant forces to be. In economic perspective, the country is a giant with the help of its primary sector. Although other countries are struggling, the GDP of Paraguay is a bumper, estimated to be 44.5 billion US dollars. It is a leading exporter of beef in the top 10 exporter of the world and the largest in clean hydroelectric energy in the whole world. Also, Paraguay has fertile soils, good livestock base, and hydropower, perfect for building a grass-to-glass operation. However, in addition to these macro figures, we need to evaluate a national business environment. We score countries on a market size, growth, intensity, and more. Paraguay scores well, especially on growth rate and receptive to import, making it a strong candidate. The market size, based on the size of the population, it's very small, but the market intensity or buying power of dairy is very high. The environment is unique because it is based on a very strong informal economy, where people purchase from neighbors instead of large supermarket companies. This is not a cold corporate environment, but rather an environment based on relationship. And this environment perfectly suits our home field. Paraguay is a hidden gem with a strong agricultural economy, growing dairy demand, and relation culture that matches farm fresh perfectly.
Alright team, let's start the evaluations. Cross-cultural risk first.
We'll evaluate the cross-cultural risk for Farm Fresh Malaysia expanding to Paraguay, focusing on communication site differences. First, we use the Hall's high context versus low context model. Both Malaysia and Paraguay are strongly high context. Malaysia values harmony, indirectness to save face, smiles and silence instead of saying no, and building a relationship before business. Paraguay and Latin America are similar. Communication relies on personal bonds, warmth, gestures, storytelling and politeness to maintain harmony. Trust is built through relationship, not just contracts. This strong similarity greatly reduces cross-cultural risk. Farm Fresh community focus, relational style networks, dealer partnership and trust building will natural in Paraguay. Negotiation, team management and marketing through personal connection should go smoothly. The only minor difference is expressiveness. Paraguayans tend to warmer and more emotionally open, while Malaysians are more restrained. This might cause small initial misunderstanding, but it's not a major clash. By using Hall's model, the cross-cultural risk is low. In fact, it's a real strength. Shared high-contact traits will help Farm Fresh from authentic partnerships quickly and adapt its brand effectively. Second, we also evaluate this risk using Hofstede's 6 cultural dimensions model. Based on this model, Paraguay and Malaysia clearly show that they have moderate cross-cultural risk for Farm Fresh. Paraguay and Malaysia exhibit moderate cross-cultural risk for Farm Fresh Malaysia's expansion based on Hofstede's dimensions. Both cultures are highly hierarchical. Malaysia scores 100 on power distance, the world's highest. Paraguay is also high as a typical Latin America society. Also strongly collectivistic, prioritizing group loyalty, family ties and relationship over individualism. This aligns well with Farm Fresh relational, communicative focus, Malaysian style, easing partnership and team management. However, Paraguay has much higher uncertainty avoidance, which is preferring strict rules, stability and risk aversion, while Malaysia shows low tolerance for ambiguity and greater openness to innovation. This difference could create friction when introducing new farming techniques or products. Paraguay also leans to a lower long-term orientation, focusing on traditions and quick results, and a more feminine emphasis and consistency and quality of life compared to Malaysians' more balanced and pragmatic approach. Overall, the risk is moderate. Similarities in hierarchy and collectivism reduce barriers, but differences in risk tolerance and orientation could cause operational delays or misunderstandings, necessitating cultural training and also local advisors.
How about their counter risk?
Paraguay's country risk is low to moderate in late 2025, with strong economic performance offsetting persistent governance challenges. Politically, Paraguay maintains broad stability supported by the long dominant Colorado Party and prudent policies under President Pena. However, concerns persist over former President Horacio Cartes' influence, widespread corruption, ranking low on perception indices, institutional weaknesses, and also organized crime links which could fuel unrest if economic growth falters. Negotiation over energy treaties pose risk over social tension, but no major disruptions occurred in 2025. Economically, the outlook is robust. GDP growth reached around 4 to 5% in 2025, driven by services, manufacturing, construction, and also agriculture recovery. Sovereign credit ratings improved significantly, with Moody's at investment grade B3 since 2024 and S&P upgrading to BBB in December 2025, reflecting macroeconomic stability, fiscal prudence, and resilience to external shocks. Vulnerabilities include dependence on agriculture like weather-sensitive, hydropower exports, and also neighbors like Brazil or Argentina. Socially and security-wise, Paraguay is one of the South America's safer countries with low mass violence risk, and improving human rights metrics through impunity and clientelism remain issues.
Is their currency good?
Paraguay uses the guarani, which is considered relatively stable compared to other Latin American currency. However, as an emerging market currency, it is still exposed to external economic shocks, such as global interest rate changes and commodity price fluctuation. For farm fresh, currency risk arises if operating costs, such as imported machinery, animal feed, or technology, are paid in US dollars, while revenue are earned in guarani. If the guarani weakens, farm fresh costs will increase, reducing profit margins. In terms of financial risk, Paraguay's banking system is generally stable and improving. The country has a positive economic outlook and manageable government debt. However, interest rates can fluctuate, and access to advanced financial hedging tools is still limited compared to developed countries. Overall, FarmFresh faces moderate currency and financial risk, which can be managed through currency hedging, local financing, and careful cost planning.
How about the commercial risk?
Commercial risk always relates to market demand, business environment, and operation. Paraguay's economy is highly dependent on agriculture and commodity export. This means farm fresh performance may be affected by global commodity price fluctuation, climate conditions, and changes in international demand. Additionally, Paraguay faces some business environment changes. Infrastructure, such as road network and logistic system, is still developing, which may increase transportation costs and cost delays. There are also regulatory and institutional challenges, including bureaucracy and a relatively large informal market. These factors may increase operational complexity for foreign companies. Therefore, FarmFresh faces moderate to high commercial risk, especially if it relies heavily on export or long supply chains.
So, after considering the culture, country, financial, and commercial landscape, a decision on Paraguay has been made. FarmFresh should enter the market, but we must proceed with caution. We cannot simply copy and paste our Malaysian operation. And here is why. First, on the positive side, country risk is manageable. As mentioned earlier, Paraguay has just received an investment grade status from Moody and S&P. There is a real macroeconomic stability. There is a very pro-business government. As for the cross-cultural risk is low. Shared values of high contracts mean the message of like our brand, family, and trust will be intuitive, not requiring a complete rewrite. However, commercial risk is a deal breaker for solo entry. Dominant local monopoly and significant infrastructure gaps face us. Besides, uncertainty avoidance in Paraguay culture makes the local farmers and consumer suspicious of outsiders. They trust long-standing relationship, not new foreign entities. Our goal decision is thus strictly continuous upon one factor. We cannot go in alone. In order to overcome bureaucracy and attain immediate trust within high-risk avoidance culture, we require a local guide, and a direct investment by ourselves alone is too much for the risk. We cannot afford everything alone. But in partnerships, this opens up everything.
After all that, yes, there is potential. How do we enter? What is the winning strategy? Export? Buy farm?
Based on the previous risk analysis, FarmFresh should pursue a joint venture with a strong local Paraguayan partner to establish an integrated dairy operation. A dairy farm and processing plant would be co-developed to provide fresh milk with the eventual expansion into flavored and chilled products under the brand name for the local market. This suggestion is the perfect harmony with the business climate in Paraguay and is based on FarmFresh history of successful international expansion. So, why joint venture? FarmFresh has consistently favored partnership-based models when entering new markets, especially those requiring local agricultural knowledge, regulatory navigation, and relationship building. Recent examples include in October 2025, FarmFresh signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) with local Colombia's Alpha Group to establish the country's first large-scale dairy farm and raw milk processing facility. This joint venture aimed to boost local production, reduce import, and create opportunities for farmers. It's similar to what could happen in Paraguay dairy industry, which depend on small and medium-sized farmers and has room for modern human farming methods like FarmFresh grass-to-glass model. In other markets like Philippines and Indonesia, FarmFresh has focused on building local production and distribution networks, primarily starting with partnerships or strong local collaborators and then gradually expanding the facilities. For instance, in the Philippines, they renovate factories and set up distribution in major locations including Manila, whereas in Indonesia, farms and factories are still in the planning stage. CEO Lloyd Tuan E has emphasized the need to find a strong partner first for markets like this, highlighting the importance of local expertise to succeed.
Joint venture in Paraguay will replicate this successful pattern, allowing FarmFresh to first enable FarmFresh to leverage local knowledge, which is especially important in an agriculture-based economy like Paraguay. A local partner will understand agricultural practice, suitable cattle breeds for the local climates, land-related process, and supply chain logistics. Since Paraguay is landlocked, having a partner who already understands local logistics and distribution system help FarmFresh operate more efficiently and avoid costly mistakes during the early stage of entry. Second, it helps to reduce cross-cultural risks. Business culture in Paraguay places strong emphasis on stability, clear procedure, and long-term relationship. By sharing decision-making with a local partner who understands this norm, FarmFresh can reduce misunderstanding and potential management conflicts. This collaborative approach is more effective than entering the market independently with a foreign management style. Third, this strategy helps FarmFresh mitigate country and commercial risks. Through shared investment and responsibility, FarmFresh does not bear in all the risks alone. Working with a local partner also support smoother regulatory process and faster adaptation to the local business environment, especially in a regulated sector like agriculture and food production. Finally, a joint venture allows FarmFresh to manage financial and currency-related risks more efficiently. Large initial investments such as farm development, cooling system, and process facilities can be shared with the partner. This reduces FarmFresh financial exposure and allow the company to enter the market gradually rather than committing fully from the beginning. In conclusion, a joint venture offers FarmFresh a balanced entry strategy by combining local expertise, share risk, operational efficiency, and financial flexibility, making it the most suitable approach for entering Paraguay. Let's make it happen. Grass to glass from Malaysia to the world.